Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our
Evening.
next session of our craft beer series. I am over in Singapore now, but I'm still doing this craft beer series with all my friends while in Hong Kong. So we're glad to have our David to do the moderating for this craft beer series with new brewers, news brewery this time round. I should not talk so much because I don't drink alcohol, I don't drink beer, but I should get David to say more. Over to you,
You're
David.
you're a massive hypocrite, Mac. How dare you introduce booze when you don't drink booze?
But I like to do all these events. I like to meet brewers. I like to meet all of you.
I don't drink either. I
It's
despise it.
Funny you're on that because I'm also on a little cheeky wee dram at the moment. Right, evening,
nice.
folks. Enough about our alcohol addictions and problems. So welcome to, I guess, season 2, series 2. I'm not sure how you should introduce this. Originally, about 6 months ago, we did a very similar exercise with another couple of local craft outfits, one of which was Neonotic Cider, which we are lucky enough to have Tom Turner with us again, but with his black kite shirt on this time, and I'm sure he can clear any confusion there between his neonotic colours, of which there's many, and his black kite representation this evening. We also have Henry with us, and Henry's from Tai Wai Brewery, so we will be talking to him as well. And we have Jerry from Deadman with us as well. So we're going to just have a bit of a chat. We're going to go through some generic stuff about the craft beer industry and these guys' breweries as well. We should have Luke Yardley joining us as well from Yardley Brothers. As usual, he's late. I think he's running a tour or something, trying to juggle too many things at once. So Luke is the only one that was originally with us. We're talking about Yardley Brothers. We also had Double Haven with us. We also had Young Master. I think after this series, you're probably going to have seen probably half of the Hong Kong beer community's craft breweries. Anyway, without further ado, thanks guys for giving up your Friday night for a bit of talking to the ether that is the internet. Hopefully people will be tuning in either now or later via Facebook, etc., to listen to all our wise words. Okay, a quick introduction for anyone that's not doesn't know me. My name's Dave Hopley. I guess I got into craft beer when I was looking at universities many years ago. And I was traveling around the UK, and I was popping into pubs for lunch and stuff with mum and dad as we were checking out the unis, and I'd always drink a local craft, well, it wasn't even called craft, it was just local ale in the UK. So we were quite lucky that we had quite a tradition in the UK of local, small, we'll come into this a bit later on, actually. What's the definition of craft? Like ale houses in the UK. So that kind of got me going to begin with. And then I went off to Shanghai and I met an American gentleman, Michael Jordan, at Boxing Cat, who convinced me that malt wasn't the way to drink your beer and it was supposed to be hoppy as hell, and introduced me to some West Coasts and all these other crazy American beers, which ruined my taste buds for the better, I might say. So I've got him to thank for a lot of things. And through my time in Shanghai and with Boxing Cat and various other guys up there, I met a gentleman called Rohit, who was setting up a brewery in Hong Kong, which was Young Master, which we talked with last session. And the rest is history, I suppose. I've kind of fallen into the scene and been here 7 years, just as I say, Young Master was starting off. So 7 years ago, I think there was only 1 or 2 breweries knocking around. And now all these gentlemen in front of us have started breweries since then. Some younger than others, not the gentlemen themselves. They all look very young and youthful, and except Tom, you got bags under the eyes, mate. You should have put the makeup on. Where's your makeup department? Is she out on the rack?
Hoping the app would sort it out for me, but it hasn't.
So anyway, enough about me. So if you guys would like to introduce yourselves along a similar pitch, just yourselves and where you're from and what your background is, and then we'll go into the breweries afterwards. So Henry, over to you first, my friend.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Henry from Tai Wai Brewery. And actually, I just working in brewery like 4 years only. So I'm quite green in the industry, I can say. Before my brewery work, I do working in hospitality, like restaurant and bar, like 12 years already. So since 4 years before, I decided to open up my brewery as my main career. So that's I work from we start from zero. So now we quite happy with our brewery. Hi, Luke.
Cool.
Hey,
cool.
how's it going, Henry? Apologies.
Hello, Luke.
I had
Fashionably late as always, Luke.
Sorry, guys. I had a brewery tour.
Do you want to just change your name, Luke? Because it's going to confuse people if they think that you're a mad Singaporean.
I would never try and pretend I'm Mac. Let me see how.
If you go up to the little dots in the corner, and then there's rename down the bottom. Right. Thanks, Henry. Thanks for the intro. Jerry, over to you, my friend.
Hey guys, I'm Jerry from Deadman, born and raised in Hong Kong, and then I went to school in Canada, and that's I guess when I got into craft beer, Toronto, TO6, and from there I drank a lot of really cheap beer in university initially. I still remember there was one called Lakeport. It was like 50 cents a beer, and we always get a 2 for. And so then that was my jam. And then soon after that, after university, moved to Toronto, and that's when the craft beer industry started to blow up over there. And like you said, got into really hoppy beers, into the IPAs, and never turned back. And came back to Hong Kong for work, and that's when that was 2013. And when it came back, there wasn't a whole lot of craft beers going out there. So that's when I bought a 25-liter bucket from Brewcraft and started making my own beer. And
Chris Wong has a lot to answer for, doesn't he, in that little shop?
Always, man.
Awesome, thanks, Jerry. Tom, if you want to start from scratch as an intro, let's make out no one's watched the Neonotic side of you, and put your Black Kite hat on.
Okay, I'm Tom Turner from Black Kite. I grew up in the UK, so I suppose a little similar to yourself. I grew up with real ale and cider as being a normal thing. After uni, I started homebrewing just a touch. Few big sort of barbecue parties and keg parties for a year.
Was that just to make friends? Was that to make yourself?
Yeah, something like that. I had a degree in microbiology, and I thought, I must be able to have a crack at making cheap alcohol. It wasn't brilliant. And then when I went to London and started discovering all of the IPAs and the imports and the new stuff that was started to be brewed, like the IPAs that we've all mentioned, as that was starting to come up in the UK. Then I came to Hong Kong about close to 5 years ago, and within about 3 months, I was reading Coaster Mag, and I didn't have a job, and I thought that looked brilliant. And I was reading about all these guys. I visited Luke, I visited everyone actually trying to get a job. And then, I got into the industry.
I couldn't afford him at the time.
Yeah, it's a shame, mate.
Is that because he was asking for a big wage, or because you're Scottish?
A little bit of both.
All right. Cool, and sorry, and that was with Young Master, right? So you cut your teeth with Young Master.
Yeah, I ended up getting 2.5 years with Young Master, and then I got an opportunity to set up the cidery, and I went off pretty much in a room on my own trying to make cider, get Neonotic off the ground. And then over the last couple of years, I've wound my way into being able to rent tanks within Black Kite, and now I work for Black Kite as well. So
awesome, juggling many balls, but well impressive.
Right.
And Luke, for any viewers out there that didn't watch season 1, as I'm calling it, it's very grandiose. Season 1, would you like to introduce yourself first, and then we'll get into the brewery afterwards?
With pleasure. Yeah. So hi, my name is Luke Yardley. I'm the founder of Yardley Brothers Craft Brewery. We are a sort of specialist craft brewery that makes unusual, weird, and wonderful things. We started 6 years ago. Me and my brother, hence the name, Yardley Brothers. And since then, we've grown a little bit. My wife joined the team, so we're still a family business, but we've grown a little bit more with some good friends and some very hardworking people on the way. And we've grown a little bit into what we are now.
What's your background? Where did your whole journey in this crazy world begin?
Okay, so if you look at the original background, I studied philosophy at Edinburgh. I have nothing to do with beer whatsoever. My degree. When I was young, my uncle Simon was a brewer, and he sort of taught me a bit how to brew when I was a young lad. I used to make cider. When I was at Edinburgh University, I went to a stall it was like a farmer's market at the bottom of the Edinburgh Castle. And some guys selling beer there, and it was they had this beer called Punk IPA, and it was the Brewdog guys. So me and my flatmate, we got some of these beers, and I'd had English ale and stuff, but I remember I didn't buy it because I was a bit too tight. But my flatmate Matt, he bought a couple of bottles, and anyways, we tasted some of those, and it really blew my mind. I was like, wow, what is this super in your face, like holy shit of a beer. It was incredible. And that was probably my first time trying like a big punchy IPA. So that definitely gave me a taste for it. Nice can there.
There you go. A little bit of product placement for Deadman and Luke Yardley's collaboration. Sorry, Luke, to interrupt.
No worries. That would be Double Haven.
Sorry, that was a double. I've got the other one there as well.
If it tastes good, we'll take credit too.
So yeah, that was my first like taste of craft beer, let's say, or the new modern wave of craft beer. But then came to Hong Kong, not with a plan to a brewery. My brother arrived, and then he brought over some ingredients. That's when we made our first beer. That would have been about 8+ years ago, and it was just a fun project that developed into a brewery. And then 6 years ago, we built our current brewery. So that was the beginning of things. Yeah.
Cool. Right. Well, I'll stop you there, and then we'll get the others to talk about their breweries, and we'll come back to you a bit more. So Henry, coming back to you. So Tai Wai, I guess, I think you guys have been around a bit longer than Deadman, right?
Longer, a little bit longer.
Yeah. So if you'd like to give a little bit of background as to who Tai Wai is, what your unique selling points are, what makes you different from, I think last count there was nudging 30 breweries in Hong Kong now that claim to be craft. Some obviously better than others. So yeah, what's your differentiator? What makes you different from the other guys here today, and also others that we know of in Hong Kong?
All right, sure. Actually, the name of Tai Wai in Cantonese mean about like a group of people, Tai Wai. So we want to deliver a message that when you're drinking beer, there must be a group of people, so that the happiness we want to share. And since starting the brewery before, I do homebrew in my house around 2 years. So every time I brew the 6-gallon carboy, and I do like 40 to 50 bottles per batches, and I do ask for my neighborhood to come up to paying mahjong, paying barbecue, like we hang out for the whole night to finish all the bottles. So we want to deliver the message to others people that the best experience is drinking together. So we name it as Tai Wai. So what is the USP, the unique selling point of our beer, which is we only do tea beer. So actually we are the only brewery in Hong Kong and Asia, they're doing a tea infused beer, no matter lager or ale or porter. We all put tea inside, so make something different. And actually, we are trying to educate or share a craft experience to Hong Kong people that craft beer is not equal to hoppy, because some of my friends, most of my friends, they won't take craft beer because they are bitter, they are hoppy, they are high ABV. So we want to share to most of the Hong Kong people that craft beer is not only hoppy. There are a lot of things that we can present, especially we bring a special brew in Hong Kong. So that's why we want to keep our unique selling point that to make people think craft beer is special. Special
that's
than
great.
commercial.
Oh, yeah, you're making me feel really guilty that I'm drinking alone at home now. I need to be more sociable with my drinking.
We're all connected digitally. It's okay.
Oh yeah, it's not really alone.
I don't have a beer.
Cheers, everyone.
Friends, virtual friends.
I don't have a beer.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and the tea thing is really interesting as well. It's a really interesting angle, which I know a few people have tried in the past, whether it's here in mainland or sorry, if it's in the mainland or if it's in Taiwan or Hong Kong. It's quite a hard thing to do, but I totally respect and understand the fact that it's a really good way to get the local beer local population more into craft, because it's less intimidating. It's a little kind of flavor that they can
Familiar with.
Yeah, that they're familiar with and can recognize. So that's really cool. And I'm guessing most of the conversation this evening hopefully is going to be revolving around what makes craft and what makes Hong Kong craft. So I think Henry's hit the nail on the head already there. Jerry, over to you at Deadman. Same question, really.
Okay, so just a little bit of background of Deadman and what makes us unique, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So, well, Deadman was always like a passion project. As I said, I came back from Canada for work, and when I came back, the craft beer scene was not that big. I mean, there's only a couple like Young Masters and Moonzen and Guaylo at that time. So about a 25.
Oh, you're not allowed to mention the G word, by the way. I should have laid down the rules. Oh,
is
no.
it? Oh man, I did not know. I did not get the memo.
I'm joking.
Did not get the memo.
They're lovely people.
Well, yeah. So then, bought a bucket. It was just for fun, and I started brewing some home brew. Was sharing it with friends on my. I live in a little village house in Ma Wan. That's why on the collab on the Double Haven and Deadman one, it was actually on Ma Wan Beach. If you look at the label, and not that one. That's Yardley. And,
yeah. I know. No, wait. I've got it.
That's how many of those have you had? You must have a dozen.
Why?
Good customer.
Yeah. So started on my rooftop, and always had a bunch of friends over for a good barbecue and beers. And one night they were just saying, "Yo, you should name your beer," you know. And I was just like, "Well, what do you guys suggest?" And the first guy, my first buddy, was like, "Deadman," you know, Deadman, because everyone in Hong Kong are dead men walking, everyone's zombies and walking, you know, working themselves to death. And then 20 names after, you know, you got Atomic, you got all these like crazy funky names after. All of us agreed, you know what, Deadman's pretty cool. So next day, I dragged my hungover ass over to Wan Chai and trademarked it, and started brewing from the bucket. And just continue to progress. I guess what made us unique was Deadman was initially started off as a company that only brewed really strong beer, hence the name Deadman. But as we continue, we just love experimenting, and at the end of the day, if you guys been to the brewery, if you guys meet the people like Sherman, Jason, me, Yi, Kaming, and all of us, at the end of the day, Deadman is not really selling a beer. It's more like a community, you know, a fellowship, brotherhood, sisterhood, that people come together and just have a good time. I mean, because how many of us had a $200 bottle of a beer and we're drinking with a bunch of assholes and it tastes terrible, you know? And all you need is really a bonfire, set up a couple camps, grab some Corona and Sahi with your best friends, and it becomes the best night ever. So we try to tell people that, and every time when we have like a trade show or whatever, we do an event, we always tell people we're not selling, we're here to share. And I think people gravitate towards Deadman. It's just because of the whole community. We're really friendly and we just have a good time. I mean, we don't always agree with each other. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and taste is very subjective. But we also know how to respect others and just know that everyone comes from different backgrounds, all shapes and sizes, and we just love to listen to other people's stories and share about it.
So that's a very similar kind of tale to what Henry was telling us, right? About community, about sharing. It's like no one's mentioned the bottom line or money yet, which is
Well, yeah, because like I'm not going to mention here, but a couple of you guys who do know my background, I'm still working full time, and Deadman has always been a passion project. When everyone was going towards, Imperial Stout and all that, Deadman was doing lager. We're like, what, German pills, let's do that. Let's make something that we love drinking, because if no one's going to buy it, at least we can drink it, right?
Totally, and then stand by what you believe, right? And
exactly.
Do what you do, and I think that's the differentiator, which hopefully will come across this evening.
Definitely, and I think it resonates, and people start to feel it.
Yeah,
they feel a sense of community too.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about the beers in a bit more detail in a sec. So, Tom, over to you. So, Black Kite. I obviously know Dave and Dan from my younger days. Give us a bit of background on Black Kite.
Sure thing. Probably not the best person to lay this out, but basically Black Kite started in 2014. And I suppose if I can link it in with some of the similar stories you've had, it stems from kind of Dave's longing for kind of freedom. He was in a very corporate financial post, and he would look out the window and see the kites flying around, just think, man, I wish I was out there. I wish I was kind of, a bit more free. And then,
I would have fired his ass if I'd seen him looking out the window of birds.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the other end of the story, but anyway, so he went off with his inspiration, and him and his brother, so the Yardley Brothers, they set up Black Kite 2014. They had another kind of brewer friend from the homebrewing community, and they set it all up. About a year later, they got another German brewer in. About a year after that, they ended up sort of needing to brew for themselves, they just went for it, and they've been maintaining the brewery ever since. So I mean, really for us, it's, I suppose, similar. I'm not a founder of the brewery, but I'm very much currently involved in the sort of direction and the beers that we're making.
It's definitely got that local community feel, though, right? The galleys have been in Hong Kong for generations, and it's in a little brewery in Wan Chau Can. And again, I will come into the beers specifically a bit later on, but they've definitely got their core beers that people will remember them for, and you're now bringing something in addition to that to the table as well, right? So we'll talk about the beers in a sec where we can go.
I suppose it's going for that sort of carefree, comfortable, approachable kind of thing for us. I like to try and be creative, but really we just want stuff that you can just grab and enjoy, but not be. It needs to be elevated and better than something standard, but it still needs to be for us, or the real core of what we're trying to do is to make something that tastes better, but it's also approachable, and I think that's a lot about what we sort of stand for.
I think that's a good slogan for this whole event, right? It tastes better, kind of thing. And Luke, over to you.
Going wild like our man down here is pretty epic. So every so often you just got to sort of go a bit nuts and really flex your creative juices and just kind of go for it. But
you tell us a bit about that a bit later on, because I've had some of your beers recently which have kind of really blown my mind. Well, you drinking the summer ale there, which is totally smashable in this weather.
Yeah, it was. We were very happy with it. Thank you.
Right, Luke. So yeah, a bit more about the USP that makes you stand out, and the brewery itself.
Well, there's a bit of a connection. So Tom made a couple of really lovely sour beers recently, which I've really enjoyed. And for us, I guess that's kind of our thing. It's healthy competition, which I appreciate. So yeah, I mean, we as a brewery when we started, I think the key thing is to do what you really love, and that's what craft beer is about. You're tasting what that person wanted to show you. And I think it's been really interesting what everyone said, like what they care about, and that's built connected with the community. So for us, we started a little bit before everyone else, and when we first started, we were told that we needed to make a low ABV, very accessible product because people in Hong Kong wanted something easy. And of course, some people do, but our response was to make a beer called the Hong Kong Bastard, which is a almost 8% Imperial IPA. It had a middle finger on the front of the bottle. That was our approach to doing that. It shocked a lot of people. There was a big argument between me and my brother. My brother wanted to make English ale. I wanted to make big American beer inspired by stuff I'd tried before. And we did that, and we got a great response from it, and that was the sort of the beginning of things. And that sort of set in motion our approach to making beer. We're not here to make a beer for everyone. We're here to make a beer that some people is going to find that's their beer, and they're going to have the most incredible love and experience with that beer. So that's led us on to things like sour beers, which is my absolute personal passion. And behind me, you'll see some barrels, and they're full of sour beer, which I love making. And yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, our USP is pushing the boundaries of what we can do in areas that we love. And sometimes that's sour, and sometimes it's some other ways. But I personally love sour beer. So.
I think that actually leads quite nicely on to my next question, because my next question was about the definition of craft and what makes Hong Kong craft special. And you kind of touched on that already by saying you're fully aware that you're not producing a beer for the mass market and for everybody. You're producing beers for some people which are going to love them, some people are going to hate them, but also some people are going to be educated by them, and some people are going to have their taste buds totally changed by them, right? And that's got to be one of the differences between craft and the mainstream, where the mainstream is very much run by, it's all about numbers, it's all about quantity, it's all about how cheap can we make it, how much can we sell it for, etc., and how many people can we sell it to. So yeah, that's really interesting. So yeah, Henry, over to you. So you're, I hope I haven't put words in your mouth now, but your definition of craft and what makes Hong Kong craft beer special. I appreciate you've talked about community, you've talked about the tea, but what's the reason I ask this question is there's a few that shall not be mentioned name-wise, who are producing craft in Hong Kong, huge marketing campaigns. Their parent companies, Carlsberg, they're all over YouTube adverts and MTR stations and everything else. And they're claiming to be craft. And what I hope is they're intimidated by you guys. They realize that you're standing on their toes, so they've got to come up with a brand which is craft. So to you guys, my question is, what's your definition of craft, and what's your definition of what makes Hong Kong craft so unique? To Henry first.
So actually, this is a quite difficult question, I can say. It's quite special one, I can say. So for me, but tonight I will not talk about like craft on ingredients, volume. I will not talk about on this because everyone will know about what's the definition of the craft. So for me, actually craft beer in Hong Kong, especially for Hong Kong people, it's quite hard to sell. I can say it's quite hard to sell because they all spending like they all judging by the money, all judging by the price. So what if I bring like selling a bottle like 20 Hong Kong dollar or like 25 Hong Kong dollar? So it's still a craft. But like for example, like other brands, they got barrel aged style or whatever, like $200 per bottles. There's also is a craft. So the definition to Hong Kong people is quite like actually it's quite embarrassing. They all talk about the money, the consumption. So we are all doing the craft, but
no, that's an interesting one because I think it's probably just the product though, right? Because I think a lot of Hong Kong people will pay a lot of money for a Hennessy XO or a Martell or a whiskey or a French wine or something like that because it has perceived value, even if the product maybe isn't worth that kind of money. I think maybe the problem is Hong Kong just used to drinking Blue Girl and Qingdao
commercial beer.
Yeah. So people don't appreciate the difference. Like you know, you can have a Hyundai and you can have a Rolls Royce, right? Very different products, so they do the same thing. And I guess part of the frustration is trying to educate people that you know you can they're different animals.
Yeah, because I think it's the first problem is the education, because the craft beer scene is very green as well. Like for example, like 10 of my friend, they only like one people drinking craft. That is my wife. And the
Is that
rest
why you married her?
Yeah. Because the brewery is only me and my wife.
Right.
We run the brewery.
Yeah.
So the education makes them like they know nothing on craft, just knowing about the labels, the price. So if you're talking about apple to apple, they will compare the craft to Asahi or the craft with Blue Girl because they know nothing behind the beer. So that is the actually is a big problem. So actually it's the problem of our whole industry. We are trying to getting better, but it's still far away to make a success.
Well, hopefully events like this are like part of that education, right? Is when we get all you guys together from different backgrounds, but you've come together in the same industry, wanting the same thing and wanting to share the same thing. Hopefully that's what events like this can add. Yeah. Cheers, Henry. Thanks for that.
Yep.
And over to Jerry. Are you in bed, Jerry? That looks like you just got into bed.
Yeah, well, that's where alcohol leads to, right? It always ends up in bed.
Like I'm used to people not wearing their pants.
My son took over the living room. Wanted to watch some Netflix, so I moved my my meeting to bed.
You're a good father. Fine. Right. So same question to you. Definition of craft, Hong Kong craft. What makes us special? Far away.
It's again, it's a very subjective topic. To be honest, Deadman is a bit of outlaw, renegade. To be honest, we can really care less about what people are doing. How people define it. Like we don't really care. We don't really want to step on anyone's toes either. We just try to make what we love. I mean, we like a Yardley. Deadman started off with just being super hoppy, loving the double IPAs, and surprisingly, we make a really good Pilsner too. It's a very interesting questions because you know, from sorry to bring Double Haven into this, but Double Haven, you know, Brian, their head brewer, we're just talking about what's his favorite beer, you know, and I don't know if I'm selling him out, but he was talking about how his favorite beer is Corona. And my favorite beer is actually Asahi Super Dry.
Yeah, that's why we never got Brian on here. We
Oh,
never
I
let him
see.
speak.
I see. You know, as much as we
let
of
Lee and
course.
Scott do the talking. Like,
Right,
yeah,
right.
Brian, like, you know,
So
I
think you really have to, you know, how do you experience salt without, you know, knowing sweet, you know, all that kind of things, you know, like my favorite brewery is Dogfish Head from Delaware. One of my favorite breweries, and a lot of times when we start drinking, that it's a really interesting question that you bring up, because I always ask, when does a craft beer becomes a cocktail now, you know, when people start making gelatos or ice cream beer and you know, peanut butter milkshake and all those kind of crazy stuff, you're just like, I think people are starting to lose their plot. You know, so it's not so much about the money, mass production. It's more like, how far do you bring craft beer that it becomes, you know, when you start disrespecting the beer gods? You know, I mean, like, craft beer has been, you know, centuries of tradition. You know, it used to be just 4 ingredients. So how far do you push it until it becomes?
I guess there's almost like subgenres within the question, right? There's almost like subgenres within what is craft. So like you say, like I know many of our German and Belgian friends would be red in the face hearing about peanut butter beers and even the amount of hops and stuff that, like, you know, go in a normal IPA to that degree.
So I think like the craft beer spirit itself is just really pushing the boundary.
Yeah.
You know, you want to do stuff that no one has gone before.
Yeah.
Without you know, craft beer itself is kind of like the renegade and outlaws of beer, right? You don't really care what people think about you, and you just want to do something that you truly love and passionate about.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, cheers, man. And over to you, Tom. Same question. If you got anything else to add, I think we're probably all singing off a very similar hymn sheet here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys hit on a lot of what I believe as well. For me, it's about flavor and passion and exploration. And there's a lot about trying to stay true to what you want to do, whereas trying to do things that you feel that you should to be trendy. I think there's a lot of struggling with that, to try and like really feel what is right for you. Watch out for my peanut butter beer.
I was going to say, can everyone stop making New England Cloudies, please?
No, that's our collab, eh? Right? Man, let's do a peanut butter beer just for fun.
I haven't properly made a New England yet, so I actually want to do it, but I kind of get what you're talking about.
Mate, be retro. Do a West Coast. Don't do an East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, we're quite.
I think Heroes is the only one doing it at the moment, right? Is Heroes doing a West Coast?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some of our double IPAs maybe they're not really old school anymore. Our first double IPA, Double Dollars, relatively West Coast, maybe could be a fraction more bitter, but it's pretty old school.
A few dollars more or something I had recently. What was few more? What was it called?
Too many dollars. So that's our second. So we're trying to do it as a series. Sorry, we're going into excuse now rather than the actual. But yeah, I think that has a West Coast element. Yeah. Yeah, craft for me, I suppose it's about having or trying to keep some sort of integrity and exploring and being curious and trying to make things that you want. Or I'm not ashamed of trying to make something that other people might enjoy either. Sometimes that's what inspires me. Sometimes it's, look, I wanted to drink a red ale a few months back because I haven't drunk one for years. So we made one. It's not necessarily a big seller, but I was really glad I did. So
well, I'm glad you did as well. You might not have sold many, but it was bloody tasty. And that was the one with the taxi branding, right?
Yeah. It was the first
our
time
friends
that
at Yakima Chief sponsored that with the hops.
yeah, it was really good of them. I think that really meant a lot to me because it really it was right at the start of me taking over, and it really felt like that people were starting to notice things, and being able to do that really meant an awful lot personally.
No, that was a great beer.
It was cool.
And with a retro twist, not trying to be like too hipstery in what I say, but it was awesome. And I've also had a tamarind recently, a tamarind sour from you, which was quite again, you couldn't imagine a Qingdao making a tamarind beer or a Carlsberg or a whoever. So was that something that made you wanted to do, or something that you felt the local market was asking for, or?
It's actually just been on a list of mine for about 2 or 3 years. I just keep it. I'm sure everyone here does it, and they'll be talking about that too. But I keep a little logbook of ideas, or when I eat something or taste something, I'm like, oh, that would be great. I mean, tamarind has a really natural fruity sourness to it. I mean, it just screams sour beer to me. So I just wanted to go with that. Yeah, it was fun. A lot of tamarinds. I suppose I can see what Luke must have been doing with all those cherries. We were smashing tamarind pulp into our kettle, and it was good fun. It was really nice.
Great beer, Tom. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much. But
there we go. As we got some bro love going on, I'm going to pass it over to Luke now as well. I feel like we need some little emoji of hearts or something. If we could pass one conversation to another.
Yeah. Okay. Well. All right. Here we go. Look, dude, I got lots of love for all of your beers, guys. Like, and I think that
Sorry, I just spilled beer on my laptop.
Oh dear. Hopefully you don't go down. I've got an absolute lot of love for really genuinely like all of your beers. I've enjoyed them personally, and I think that for me the key message of what craft beer is about individuals. It's about us. It's about all of us together. We're all showing an individual representation of who we are by what we do, and there's another side which is about the individual, the consumer. It's not like the whole point of craft beer is that some consumers like Tai Wai, some consumers like Deadman, and some consumers like Black Kite. They're not meant to like us all, and we're not making beers. We're not. Our directive is not the same as a Carlsberg for $5, which is sell as much beer as you possibly can to make the most average product to everybody. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
What we're doing is pushing the standard and the level up. We're using better quality ingredients. We're making niche and specialist products, and it's kind of exciting what we can do with that. The other thing is it's connected with a general movement of like, I had this funny thought, which is like craft beer is like the TikTok of beverages. That might sound a bit weird.
Luke, you're too old to know what TikTok is, mate.
I don't even know. Well, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's like people on their phone, and you basically, there's no like big celebrities anymore. It's more about like individuals, and you get to like them or not, right? So craft beer is kind of like true. That. It's like another version of that, where everyone gets to like experience exciting, fun things. They might not be the biggest company in the world. They might not have a movie out there, but you like them. So I think that craft beer is very much progressive, and it's what people are interested. People are bored of big sort of standardized things. We're more interesting than that. We're looking for something a bit more.
Yeah, I think I'd actually disagree with you slightly, where you were saying that everyone likes a different brewery. So everyone around this table tonight, because if it's one temperature and a certain kind of weather, and I'm eating certain type of food, or I've had a certain type of day, I might be in the mood for a Black Kite beer. And then on a different day and a different temperature and a different type of food, I'll be in the mood for a Yardley Brothers or a Tai Wai or a Deadman. So
I would agree. Definitely. My point was definitely not that you'd only like one brewery. My point was that at different times you might want one thing. But the point is, on a more macro scale, finding the unique beer. That's what craft beer offers that to you, that you have way more choice to choose from.
Yeah.
And
I think
I'd like
most
to add on top of that too. It's that it's okay for, you know, we all have certain tastes, but it's okay for your taste to evolve as well. You know, where we're all growing, we're all trying new things, and as you grow, your palate changes, right? How many of us when we were kids we didn't like a certain food, and right now, I mean, like I love mushrooms. When I was a kid, I would never touch that, right? And for me, it's interesting because I
what kind of
absolutely-
mushrooms?
You know, the special ones, the tasty ones.
Well,
Yeah. So like for me myself, I absolutely despise and hate sour beer. You know, I hate sour beer. Like every time I drink a sour beer, I'm like, oh my god, this tastes disgusting. Until when I was in Holland, you know, when we did that whole collaboration, and I tried your Yardley sour, and I was like, you know, I actually had that last because there were 6 different breweries, right? And I had that last. I was like, I didn't even want to drink it, but then Ash got one. I was like, okay, I'll have a sip, and I drank it. And first time, I didn't make that face. Normally, I'm like, oh my god, what is this? You know, I drank that, and I was like, wow, this tastes really good. And then I got a pint, and that changed my whole perspective on sour.
Yeah.
And then just last week when we went to Roundhouse, you know, first thing I ordered was a sour beer because that's all I needed. Something to jumpstart me, to evolve my palate and taste, to try something new. And then now I'm always trying new sours, even though I still regret it most of the time when I try it. Like, oh my god, I should just stick to my hazy, you know, or my IPA.
Yeah, no, it's a really exciting journey, isn't it? And we're quite lucky now that there's so many more tap rooms opening up. Obviously, the Globe being one of the original, well, probably is the original, the one which has supported most of you guys around this table, I'm sure. I use the word table. I don't know why I use the word table, screen, whatever. But yeah, just to go through the variety of beers and trying different styles and stepping out of your comfort zone and having tasters and stuff is part of the joy, right? Right, so I mean, we've got about 13 minutes left, and I appreciate some of you have got babies to look after and breweries to run and whatever Tom's up to. I think you're pole dancing later on, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah, got to pay the bills.
Totally. So kind of talking about like what's the dream? What's the holy grail? What's your end game? What would you guys like to do or achieve within whatever 5 years, 10 years, 2 years? Henry, at you first.
Cool. For like a short-term goal, like 3 years, we want to make tea beer all around the world. We are targeting to use different tea leaf from different country to do collaboration with other brewery. So we are now on the process. So first station will be Taiwan, and hopefully we can pencil mark our Tai Wai Beer in all around the world within the 3 years planning. And also we are trying to get more and more people in Hong Kong, especially my best friend, they're willing to buy a craft beer by their own, not drinking any more Tai Wai beer. Maybe some of them, they like the sour beer, or maybe some of them like double IPA, and I hope my friend can tell me, oh, I tried the Yardley Brothers sour beer last night, it's very good. That's what I'm looking for, because most of my friends, they're not drinking craft. So the market is, I think, probably I want to enhance the market share within like 2 years.
Yeah.
To make more and more people in Hong Kong, they like and willing to buy, to spending money on them. That's
I'm proud to be Hong Kongers in more ways than other ways, right? Like you know, drink local, drink
local, supporting local. Yeah, that's what my thought.
Yeah, cool. And Jeff, you look like you're about to fall asleep, Jerry. I think we need to bring you into
I'm just changing the angle. It's my light. There you go.
CBD beer, man. Too much CBD.
I feel like
I don't have the lighting right. I don't do a lot of TikTok. Gotta work on those TikTok skills.
So same question to you. What's the end game? What's the dream? What do you hope?
I think that's what's a bit special about Deadman too, is that we don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, we just we live in the moment, and we're just really, as long as we're having fun, you know. If we screw up, if we fail, we know that, you know, we're together and we're doing this together and we're in it together and we're having a good time, you know. And it's like every time I see Jason, you know, our head brewer, and too much of the credit goes to him. I absolutely gave him no direction. I gave him 100% freedom. I was like, what do you want to make? You know,
actually shout out to Jason. He's another ex-young master.
Oh man, he is so
protege,
talented, such a hardworking, talented, humble young man. You know, and it's definitely a blessing to have him on the team. And it's every time, I don't even smoke, you know, but he smokes, so I would always have a cigarette with him and make sure he's happy, and I'll be like, hey, you happy? You make sure you're happy, okay? If you're not happy, you tell me. My job is to make you happy. You brew whatever you want, you know, and explore whatever you want.
Mate, you're killing yourself for this guy's happiness.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important because like that's like we never really approach anyone. Like the whole Deadman team is always like people who want to join us, and they come and approach us instead. And we're like, we want to be a part of you guys, you know. And for our WhatsApp group, for example, it's called Deadman Family, and we're always a family. We're always in it together. Of course, there's times that we screw up, but we have a good laugh. And I think that's the most important time. We live in the moment. And who can tell what 3-5 years is gonna bring, you know?
Fair play. And Tom, over to you.
Some really good answers there. I know, speaking for the brewery, I'm gonna go to like real brass tacks. I just want to get to a place where we feel like we're gonna survive, you know, like we're stable. It's been a tough couple of years. And I just want to feel like we can be in a really solid place. Other than that, it's just for me right at the moment. I've taken this week off, and I've really been actually trying to think on this for myself a little bit. I think it's a lot for me about collaboration, like genuine collaboration, and learning from other people is really what I want to get out of the next couple of years. I really want to just keep exploring and learning and developing, and that might go into other products maybe, but hopefully just the beer and the cider. I'm just so excited at the moment about being able to interact with other people, hopefully outside of Hong Kong as well, but hopefully some of you guys soon enough. And me and Luke managed to get something in last year, which was great fun, and I learned a lot from that. For me, it's just about that journey of education and learning, and kind of that process of allowing myself to kind of like do this for a job for real, like having that sort of great opportunity, honor, kind of like to just kind of be messing around a little bit.
But I mean, in your situation, you're putting your academic prowess into practical reality now, right? Like you are, you know, you're using your previously taught knowledge in a book, and you're making amazing products from it, right?
Well, that's very kind of you to say, but yeah, I suppose trying. I don't have a PhD or anything, so I'm not that bright. But
you don't need bits of paper.
I did a bit of lab work.
You're very humble, Tom.
Yeah. He was teaching me how to make sauerkraut the other day.
I got a PhD, permanent head damage.
There we go. Yeah, but
and Luke, over to
really
you.
Fascinated by just learning.
Yeah, Tom. Good.
No, I'm just aware we've got about 6 minutes left. So if we just finish up with Luke, and then I think maybe if we leave everyone with a little teaser as to what beers you guys are going to be offering them, if you know that already, I don't know, for the individual sessions. But if you don't know that, don't panic. But anyway, sorry, Luke, we'll finish with same question.
So what's the end game for Yardley Brothers? There's two sides to that. One is the personal side, which is, I guess, what I personally want. And then the other side is the company. So like, firstly from the company, like I started off just me and my brother, had some amazing people who jumped in and helped me out. Some people who work for free. when we first started, because we had no money at all when we first started. And our team has grown, and we've got an amazing team of people. And so essentially what I'd like our company to be a way to fulfill what everyone their life goals. What do they want to do? I've got one of my team members wants to open a brewery in Spain. I want to make that happen. I'd like to make sure we have enough money to, if we all work really hard together to do that. And I think that'll be amazingly fulfilling for everyone. I'd personally like to, I'd personally like to buy a nice property and have a place for family and all that.
Yeah, fair play, right?
A stable life, that would be good.
Yeah.
But then on a personal level, I'd like to feel like I've done a good job. and I'm probably not very, I'm quite self-critical, and I find that I'm not very often that happy with my products. So yeah, I'd like to in the long term look back and think, oh well, that was a good thing. So I think my being slightly unhappy with myself pushes me forward to do a little bit more. Maybe that's a very honest personal description.
No, fair play.
Yeah.
I think all of you guys though, like you're all kind of okay. We could argue whether Hong Kong craft beer has been 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, the last 4 years, who knows? But you're all part of that. You all have produced products with labels, with volume, with taste, with stories, and I think people will always remember that, right? Yeah, everyone will remember the first time they've had a tea beer or a sour beer or a big, massive, funky IPA or whatever it might be. So, yeah, maybe you guys aren't giving yourselves as much credit as you deserve. So, as a beer drinker,
I think Luke and I got to drink more so I can lift his spirits a bit more.
Well,
maybe he should just jump.
I'm just happy with anything and everything, you know.
Start smoking together as well.
Could be a plan.
Well, I think it's important to see, like, as a business, you got to realize that you got to focus on it's not so much about the end game, but like the journey too, you know. There's so much relationships you have developed, so much things you have learned. I mean, I remember the first time we pour out 500 liters, you know, just liquid go down the drain because it tastes terrible, but we had a good laugh, you know. And then it's part of that journey that makes us who we are, you know. If you don't fail, you got no stories to tell, you know. Like when you're in a table having a beer, people love hearing about fuck up stories. No one wants to hear about, oh, you did great, boom, that's it, happy ending, you know. So I think
mate, you could have turned that into anti-back wash for like kill COVID with that bad boy.
Oh, you should come to Deadman, have a look. We got these like giant little those glass container. It's all just like distilled bad batches. So
I know people
bad batches we made before Jason's time when I was brewing.
Right, so we've only got a minute to go. So quickly, I don't know if you guys know the answer to this question, but over the next few months, we're going to be obviously the last Friday of every month. We're going to be visiting each of you individually. Well, I don't think we're visiting you. I think we're actually going to a venue where we're going to be having a few beers and a tasting and stuff in person. So are you guys any of the wiser what beers you're bringing to the tasting yet or not? A nod of heads or a shake of heads? Tom hasn't got a Scooby-Doo.
Depends what's available in the cold room, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
What hasn't been sold?
Yeah.
All right. No worries. I didn't prep you with that. I didn't realize. I wasn't quite sure. So I'm glad Max come back. I thought he was having some Singaporean feast at this time of night.
No, so I think for Jerry, the Deadman will be visiting his brewery because his brewery is quite big. So the rest will be going to this noodle place in Sheung Wan. Yep. So it will be like in person. I think people are tired of Zoom now with Hong Kong being so safe, no cases. Everyone wants to meet up and do it. Apart from people in Singapore like me, I think we need to stuck at home and do more Zoom.
But that's just Singapore.
the restaurant where we're going to is pretty damn good. I went there with Mac before, and like it's really, really, it's not just a noodle place. Just to let you know, it's very, very good food. Like I'm kind of excited about trying the food when I bring the beer. So
and doing some beer pairings, right? That sounds awesome.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So I've worked with the that place that everyone will be having like one main course and one side dish. No drinks included because you'll be having like 6 bottles or 6 cans of whatever beer that you'll be having that night already. So it'll be something exciting. People who wants to join, please sign up. Email us, email to Asia Society. Yeah, we can sign you in.
Right. So this is the last Zoom session ever.
Not really. Maybe the next round. We are not sure.
Oh God, you're talking about season 3 already.
Season 3.
Of course. This will never end. We need to continue to educate people about craft beer, right?
Yeah, round 3 we can have 香港友, you know?
Yeah. Keep having different people. There's so many of you around. I'm so glad that it's like Tai Wai, Brett Kite, and Luke and Yardley. I know them since the first time Asia Society first did a craft beer tasting event for our members.
3 years ago.
That was like maybe 4 years ago.
I remember that, man.
And
That was great.
Yep.
That was how we started, because I think Beertopia was like something happened or whatever. I thought that okay, maybe I can do something, and these people responded to my cold email and they came with their beers and they get my members to try, and that's how our friendship started. And so many years on, we are still here trying to do something together.
Amazing.
I think
Good
craft
job,
beer
guys.
people are really cool.
Yeah, no, it's actually been a really nice way to bring people together, even during, like, obviously 6 months ago, things were very different to what they are now here in Hong Kong. So it was nice to still keep the community together, and awesome to see some different faces now as well. So thanks to Asia Society for helping with that and bringing the craft beer world together. So hopefully we'll all be able to have a beer in person in the not too distant future.
Definitely. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
always
you for
welcome at
coming.
Deadman.
Hi.
Cheers, Henry. Thank you, Tom. Luke, you can get back to cleaning the tanks. And Jerry, I think you need to go to bed, my friend.
Yeah.
Good night, Jerry.
All right. Cheers, guys.
See you.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.